All right. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast with my good friend and business partner, Jim Brown. What's up, Jim?
Good. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Just another beautiful week, man.
Yeah, we're barely surviving in chilly Florida, man. It's been brutal.
Yeah, like you guys getting hammered with cold weather?
Yeah, I think it was only like 71 today, and it's been 40 at night. So for us, it's been really cold though.
Yeah, we've been having some cold weather. I mean, that's not, for us that'd be kind of normal weather. But yeah, we've been definitely having some cold fronts, a lot of rain this winter, dude, and it's been a lot of days in the 50s and so forth here in Phoenix. So I don't know if it's true or not, but it feels colder than normal here. Yeah, dude. So I'm excited to jump on in, man. I know we got a few things to cover here, when it comes to just overall health, fitness, and all the shit that we talk about here on this podcast, when you're able to jump on here with me. So first thing I want to talk to you about, dude, is, I've been jumping on, Twitter and all these different spaces, dude. And I know we've talked about this before, but there's always these new fads, or just like during different times, there seems to be different topics that are being pushed. And, one thing I've been seeing a lot of lately is, from these, quote unquote fitness influencers, which everybody today seems to be an influencer and everything. So this is why I always like to ask you, because I never know who to trust, but I know I trust you. But I've been hearing a lot about seed oils, and a lot of, again, I don't know if they're theories or if it's true or not, but a lot of theories out there about how it's leading to, a lot of the obesity crisis that we're now seeing today, whether it be kids, and so forth. So what's your thoughts on that? What's your take on that?
Well, let me ask you this first. So, what do you find seed oils in? Like, what do you think most of the products, or how do most people get seed oils, or how are they ingesting seed oils?
Dude, I mean, I feel like an idiot, but to be honest with you, I have no idea. It's nothing I really pay attention to.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. So basically, it's almost any processed food, meaning Hot Pocket, meaning, you're going to get a waffle from the freezer section in the store. Any pre-processed, pre-made product like that, you go to the bakery section and buy a piece of cake that's already pre-made. Anything like that will have seed oils in it. And what's really seed oil? Seed oil is what we're gonna just lump in together as a vegetable based or a canola, a corn oil, anything that it's kind of processed out of a grain type deal is what we're classifying as a seed oil. And what it typically is like canola oil, like a vegetable oil, something like that. So those are all, number one, they're in everything kind of processed like that. The stuff that gets fried in anything that you get fried, it's going to be in a rancid seed oil. It's going to be, it's going to be in the hamburger that you order, probably not the hamburger itself, but the bun, maybe the cheese. I mean, depending where you go, who knows? It's in everything. So one of the things that drives me crazy is these people that say, oh, seed oils are evil. If, I cut them out and all this magic shit happened. Okay, well, if you're following this week on Twitter, there was a couple of these people that, oh, I can attest to that. I cut out seed oils, I didn't change anything else, and I lost 25 pounds. And so I asked him, hey, cool, how many calories were you eating? Well, I don't know, I didn't keep a log. Okay, so you're a liar because you didn't keep everything the same. You don't even know how many calories you eat in a day. But so you're going to tell me that everything was exactly the same except you cut out seed oils? That's the fallacy there. Second, if you talk to a person who's a little bit more open-minded and is trying to sell you a Bible with this stuff, and you say, okay, wow, you cut out seed oils, so that's great, but how were you getting your seed oils? Well, it was in this. It was in my Hot Pocket. It was in my pre-made pancake. It was in the fried food I ate. Okay, what did you move to? Well, I started grilling my meat. I made some vegetables. I made my own rice, made my own pasta, maybe a tomato sauce from scratch, with olive oil. Oh, okay. So you started eating like you fucking should be eating anyway, if you give a shit about your health. And then is it the seed oils, or did you lose 25 pounds from eating right and you're eating better foods now? So that's the problem, right? Most of the people that I've talked to, when they go after seed oils, and they changed their life and everything happened because of magic. Well, it's because they started eating real food. They started to get a concept of how much they were eating, and then they lost a bunch of fat, which obviously makes you healthier all the time, every time, doesn't matter how you do it. So that's the big problem I have with that. The thing I can agree on, is it a good fat? Is it a good source of oil? No, it's not. There's a variety of problems with it. And biochemistry wise, it's not a great choice for you. It does break down faster when you heat it, so you should never cook in it. A more alternative, a better alternative for that is a oil with a higher flash point. Even olive oil is better if you cook at medium to low heat. If your olive oil is in a pan and ever smokes, then you went past its heat tolerance, and now it's not good for you to eat. But then if you use avocado oil or coconut oil it has a higher flash point, then you can cook in a higher temperature with it, or even beef tallow. And those are all better choices for a variety of reasons. But the big one is they're safer to cook in. But really overall, this thing about saying that seed oils is the root cause of all bad things. I mean, my question would be, if we just snapped our fingers and substituted all those fats with better choices of fats, with beef tallow or whatever, do you think a hot pocket made with olive oil is going to be healthier for you than a hot pocket made with canola oil? No, it's not. Is the fried chicken better, deep fried in tallow? No, you're still blowing out, 1,000 extra calories by frying it. So it's really, it's one of those, I don't know. It's kind of a dumb argument.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, well, and the hard part I have is, and I, like, I guess to a point where I get some of this stuff, but like, Dr. Paul Saladino. I don't know if you ever follow his content, but like he has this thing where he goes into like Whole Foods and he starts calling out all this stuff.
Mhm.
But like you start diving deep into that dude's stuff. He's like, okay, well, don't even use dental floss because that's got negative freaking chemicals in it. Like, don't even use, like, I'm certain, like, okay, well, I'm trying to look at all these things. And he might give some reasons to him, but I'm like, how do you even live life, dude? Like,
You can't walk around like that.
yeah,
You can't
I'm
even
like,
walk
dude,
around.
it's too complex, man.
Right.
But then from there, I guess I don't even understand, like, why is the seed oils themselves so negative, on the body? I mean, because I'm guessing from based on what you're saying is, maybe it's just because they're cheaper and quicker, easier to produce at scale, and that's why they're used in a lot of these.
That's why they're used. Yeah, that's why
Cheaper,
they were used.
So
Yeah.
I mean, back to that point, the chicken or the egg, is it the seed oil itself that is really at all detrimental? And maybe there's negative benefits to it, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to. But
well, the biggest thing, the biggest thing that I can agree to is, by the time you get a seed oil, like you get canola oil on the shelf, it's been heated to a high temperature to process. It's been put in a plastic bottle that then has been exposed to high heat. And then it gets damaged by ultraviolet light. And so by the time that you use it, even if it's a fresh bottle, there's a certain percentage of it that's rancid. And then you cook with it or whatever, and rancid oil is not good. It's not good for you. Now, on a biochemical level, we could go deep into that, but it's not a real good choice of fat for you. It's not an intelligent fat. Like you've heard me talk about before, eat clean proteins and carbohydrates that work for your body, and intelligent fats. That is not an intelligent source of fat. It doesn't work well in your body, all that. Now, does that mean it's the cause of everything? I don't think so, but is it good for you? I mean, is it a good choice? No, it's not. Did it cause obesity? I don't think so. What caused obesity is you're eating 80,000 calories with all that shit in it, and it's just cause and correlation. Just like back to my Hot Pocket example, if we made Hot Pockets out of olive oil, people are still getting the fat eating a Hot Pocket, right? It's not, that doesn't really solve the problem. And then overconsumption of it in everything. And so, it's like, there's still people out there, it's 2023, there's still people out there that think carbing up is eating donuts, right? Well, when you eat a donut, there's not that much sugar in it. It's mostly fat, and it's the wrong fat. It's been fried in crappy oils, right? And so it's frustrating, man. I don't think
Yeah.
that, if you cut out seed oils, your diet is going to look completely different than it was before. So you can't say, hey, I cut out seed oils and all this magic stuff happened, unless then you're taking back beef tallow and making, all the same calorie for calorie, all the same shit. But 99% of those people were eating bad choices of food, and they corrected them by being aware of seed oils.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then speaking of that, when we were just talking about obesity, and not necessarily seed oils leading to obesity, but the shit that seed oils are in, and all of that. There's been, for those that I know that I know not a lot of realtors. I know we have a lot of realtors that are listening. Don't
Yeah.
spend a lot of time on Twitter. At least at my conversations. I mean, but for those that do spend a lot of time on Twitter, it just seems like Twitter's totally different than Instagram or Facebook, where it's a lot of political shit and a lot of whatever. But anyway, about a week or so ago, I started seeing a lot of just stuff coming out on there of some type of new injections that are being created to help kind of battle this childhood obesity epidemic. And I don't know if they were just mainly for children. I mean, at least those are the articles that I saw on there. But it might be for adults as well. But then of course you just got everybody jumping on the train of like, this is ridiculous. I think maybe people are a little bit more you know um cynical or suspicious, cautious after what we just went through the last couple of years,
Yeah.
when it comes to pharmaceuticals and so forth. But I mean, obviously there's a problem, dude, right? And like, I've had so many conversations with doctor friends of mine that are just like, hey, look, dude, yeah, we could go tell people to go out there and do XYZ that isn't a healthy manner, but the reality is most people just won't do it, and
Right.
that's why, hey, there's this pill option, because 99% of the population won't do the healthy way. I guess that's
Yeah.
why they probably got to that position in the first place. But I know that you're familiar with this drug that they're talking about. I mean, is it effective? Is it good? Is it, like, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So it's called semaglutide. There's a prescription name for it. I think it's Ozempic. Anyway, it's a hunger, or it's an appetite suppressant. Basically, there's some chemical stuff to it where it improves your insulin sensitivity and blah blah blah. But that's the new weight loss drug. So you probably, if you're tuned into that stuff or whatever, that's the drug that everybody says, oh, all Hollywood's on it, all these people are using it, and that's probably true. And so I had some clients ask me about it, and I'm a guinea pig anyway, so I tried it, and let me tell you, man, it's a powerful drug. So it will completely wipe out your appetite to the point that you don't want to eat and you feel nauseous all day. Typically, they prescribe a anti-nausea pill to go with it, because part of the joy of not eating is being nauseous with this stuff. So you have to take that and the anti-nausea pill to be at a real effective dose to where you're not hungry at all. So for that, it works. In an adult population, does it work? Would it help the right people? Sure, I could see it help the right people. Just like I saw phentermine help some people to where they were able to curb their appetite, they were able to knock weight off and get some momentum going, and then learn, hey, okay, you know what, I got here by eating this much. What do I have to do to stay here? Okay, well, I changed all these habits. I know that I can't eat this and I can't eat that, and I'm going to try to keep my calories down. And I've seen people successfully use phentermine and then not use it again and keep their weight off for that. Do I think that this will be a tool for some people like that? Yes, it could be. The problem is, if you're kind of I'm going to put myself in the classification of a high performance type of body, even though I'm old and broken down. If I don't eat enough during the day, or if I miss meals, if I'm not hitting enough protein, if I don't feed myself enough carbohydrates, my body reacts very fast. And so, just like intermittent fasting, when I go without eating, I can get away with it for a little bit, and then I hit the wall and crash, and my body, just falls apart. I actually start to get skinny fat, and it's not really good. And Most of the people that have taken this and really done a true run on it that had any amount of muscle end up getting skinny fat. Unless you're eating by the book and you don't want to, man. This is one of those things you take and you'll be like, I haven't eaten anything today. I'm going to force myself to eat some protein, but but then at that point I'm 1,800 calories in the hole, and so it's real effective that way. You take it once a week, and it's pretty expensive over the counter, and you can get hypoglycemic from it. You can get lightheaded real easy, especially if you're not eating. Overall, it's really effective at cutting your appetite. I'm not recommending it for any of my clients. I don't think it's a real good tool for most people because, back to the same thing. I mean, this from dieting. What the most important thing that you can teach yourself or that you can learn to deal with when you're dieting or when you're trying to change your lifestyle is how to deal with hunger. And if you don't learn that lesson and can't get over it, you're never really going to be successful. You're never really going to keep the weight off. And this, I just see this as being a tool. People are going to use it. They're going to go off it and balloon right back up because they didn't really work and get through that and learn to deal with hunger. So that, in a very long dissertation, is what that is. It's been out for probably a year and a half or so. It's been fairly popular, pretty popular. The thing that's caused the outrage lately is now the FDA approved it for use in children, in obese children. And that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. And that was going to be my follow-up with you, dude, is okay, like with you experimenting with it, like you to eat, how to eat properly, whatever. And yeah, you have less of an appetite, so maybe eating less, but like you're still probably eating the right foods. But I'm looking at this like for kids, okay, their appetite might get suppressed, but then what they are eating, like they, if they got to that point in the first place, in most cases, and maybe there's extreme thyroid, maybe there's extreme other cases that led to, but for most of, and I hate to generalize here, but this is just my thoughts in my head and I could be wrong and you can correct me if I am wrong, but my guess is that most of them are in that position because they're in an environment with their parents and, their own cells were like, because when you're young, dude, you don't like, they obviously demonstrate they don't have the self-control and the self-discipline. They're probably in an environment where they don't have access to good, healthy foods or the education good. So I just see them eating, okay, now I'm not eating much, but then I'm still freaking mowing down on Lucky Charms or whatever. And I'm like, well, I mean, but I don't know. Is that better than,
well, that's the problem, man. And you nailed it from a couple of things. But when I think of that, I think of, okay, what's the environment that caused that? Well, it's probably parents that don't give a shit or know themselves and are obese themselves, or, don't really care for the health of the child or whatever. But I think the most of the cases that I've seen, mine being, my childhood being one of them, is they didn't know any better, themselves, and didn't know a damn thing about nutrition and couldn't control weight on themselves, and the parents. So to your point, if you introduce a drug that's going to knock out the kids, appetite, will it be effective? Yeah, probably. Won't feel like eating, unless they force themselves to out of habit or, emotional issue, whatever it is. But the hunger is going to be completely gone. Is that going to solve the problem? Well, it might solve the problem in some of the cases of getting the weight off, but second, then the hunger comes back, you're back to square one because your parents, the environment, the kid didn't learn anything, right? Didn't go through, how to change and what foods to work and what a calorie is and why it matters and all those things. So yeah, it's a horrible idea. I mean, there's kids out there maybe that this would help. And then you re-educate the parents, you change the environment and the whole family moves towards not a diet, but a lifestyle. Okay, maybe, but I don't see it helping at all. I don't think it's a good idea. It's another, it's just another example of the drug companies saying, oh, hey, we had a good first year. Now sales are flat. Who do we go after now? Well, let's expand the use. Let's expand the indication.
Yeah. What blows my mind with it, dude, is it's like there's no education in the school system of, healthy eating, like you go see what is provided at school lunches. It's
Well,
like,
there
okay,
is, but it's the absolutely wrong information, right? It's the worst
yeah,
information
yeah,
there is, you
yeah. I
know.
mean, I know that it's getting updated now or whatever, but I mean, if you look at like the food pyramid that we've grown up with and whatever, it's like, again, it just, it's, I don't know. I hate the whole, give a pill. It's
Right.
even like when I'm like feeling, like, let's say I like tweak my back or something. Like I don't even like to take ibuprofen. Now, if
Right.
I'm in a situation where like I can't move, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But from there, it's like, okay, for me, and this is just my thought process, like for me to heal it effectively, to be able to feel, okay, what hurts it, what doesn't hurt it, how it feels good. It's like I need to feel that pain to be able to really adjust. Like
Right.
just this whole like, okay, let's take a pill for everything. I'm like, what is this really solving? It's like, even if this becomes like a government funded thing or push thing, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know, within the pharmaceutical industry, but I'm just like, still, but it's almost like the opposite, like where there's there's an intentional lack of education on physical fitness and nutrition, you know.
Well, I mean, you saw that they were trying to blame global warming on fat kids. I mean, get the fuck out of here. It's because they said, oh, they can't go outside and play as much. No, that's called video. That's called the iPad. I mean, that's called phones. It's not because the environment has changed so much. I mean, come on. But yeah, you made a real good point there. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't help. It's just a band-aid, just like everything, most other things, most other drugs. It's a band-aid. Give me the easy pill. And if I just don't see it being successful, man. I really don't. Long term, the kid might not feel like eating and get sick and nauseous and then lose some fat, and then what happens after that? And by the way, this stuff, your body down regulates it or becomes adapt to it very fast. So for me, I had to keep upping the dose, and they have a schedule for you to keep upping the dose. For me, it was doubling and tripling pretty fast. And so by month, by the first 2 months, you're going through a vial in every month. You cash pay for that stuff's like 450.
Yeah,
So 450, and then beyond that, do you keep going up to get the same effect? I don't know. Or do they tell you to wean off of it or to go off of it? I don't see some of these cash pay guys doing that. For
yeah,
people like, hey man, you should really stop for 6 months and reset. No, okay, well, yeah, I guess you're going to use a bottle a week. So where does that go? I mean, how does that end? Um,
yeah. Because then
it, it
to your point, they wean off, and or their body gets adjusted to it. Now they start
yeah.
eating more, then they stop it altogether. Do they not just blow up to their starting weight before they start it? Do they go well beyond that because now it's fuck
Well,
it,
and
their
this is the
appetite?
same, we had a former partner that was Mr. Intermittent Fasting. And my real problem with that was, when we had guys intermittent fasting, we didn't solve the issues. We didn't solve the same issues of like, hey, this is what you should be eating. These are the things that you need to figure out. How do these foods make your body feel? Da 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 da. It was like, yeah, you just don't eat for 16 hours, then eat whatever you want. That doesn't, these guys are blow out calories. You can't just not eat for 16 hours and then eat two pizzas and expect to look great. It doesn't
Yeah,
solve the issues, man. It's like the easy button, same with the carnivore diet, same with the keto diet. I just want something easy. If you sold people on, hey, just eat liver treats, cat liver treats, that's all you have to do. You eat as many as you want. They taste okay. You don't have to worry about it, anything. They would do it because it's easy. Oh, I just have to eat meat. Okay, great. Oh, keto. I just don't eat carbs. Well, why isn't it working? Well, you still have to count calories. You still have to do this. You still have to do that. It's
yeah,
it's the same. I mean, we've seen this off and on these diets for years, man. And it's if it does work, it's because people, by accident are just consuming less food. That's it. It's all the
yeah.
same. It's all about calories and food choices, man.
Well, and
But
then it's I always think of too. It's like most things at some point have a negative side effect. And some things it's like look how many kids, and I don't know what the number is, but let's just say it's 30%. And again, I shouldn't even count a number to it or put a number to it because I have no idea. But
right,
look how many kids are like on like like learning like ADD stuff. Like
right,
whether it be Adderall or whatever. It's like what are the long-term effects of that? Like I've experimented with Adderall and I know, how it made me feel when I was on it, but I also know what the down time felt like, and it was like, dude, I'm like, this isn't good, dude. So I
No,
stopped that shit right away, man, because I'm like, man, I mean, yeah, it was great when I was on it, but then it's like, it's kind of like going out and partying. It's like, okay, you go out and party and have a fun night. Well, then you need 2 days to recover,
right.
and what are those long-term negative effects? And with something like this, it sounds like it's a pretty new drug. We may not know what those long-term effects are.
Oh yeah, I mean there's a whole laundry list of stuff, just like anything. You read some of it and you're like, oh my God, I read the insert before I decided to try it. And I was like, well, yeah, this ain't something that I'm gonna take lightly. It's not anything. I wouldn't certainly give it to kids and hand it out like it's, Tic Tacs, which they're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
But that's with all medications, man, unfortunately. Same with the amphetamine stuff. I mean, we've both used phentermine, and phentermine is a to diet, with. Does it work? Yeah, it curbs your appetite. Does it give you energy? Yeah, it's an amphetamine, but man, if you stay on it too long, it makes you fucking nutty. And then coming off of it, I mean, myself, if I ran that for a month and ran it to the point that it was effective and I had energy and I was able to go in a pretty deep calorie deficit, man, coming off of that, it was 3 days of literally not getting off the couch, just feeling fucking wrecked, like I was hit by a train.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, you can't stay on that stuff very long. That's it's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Problem.
And do you hear about this shit with gas stoves?
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy times, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
That's all,
death is bad, right? I guess.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's I hate even being this way, but it's just like I don't know. You say enough history, you just like for me, I can't help it, but it's just it's like whatever the narrative that's being pushed, it's almost like okay,
Right.
I
Yeah.
I'm doing
What's
the opposite.
next? Yeah.
It's just like right now, like right before we jumped on here, dude. I was reading, I don't know, I can't remember if it was Bloomberg or Forbes or whatever, but the article was all about, because of the cost of eggs being so high, this is a perfect time to switch to a vegan diet. And I'm just like, dude, like, why are they? Why is this narrative pushed so heavily? Now I'm a
I
guy
don't
that I
know.
went out there and I tested it, because I believe, and I learned this from you, like just test shit to see. Not saying
Yeah.
you never told me to go vegan, but
Right. Right.
just test things to see how you feel. And I went on it for a long enough time, almost 90 full days, and for the first month or so, I felt pretty good on it. But then I couldn't go. I mean, it was by about that third month, dude. Like it was pain every day, and so I'm always trying to test things, but it's it's I can't help but think that there's something always an underlying thing, right? To
Yeah.
this
Well,
narrative.
it's really, I mean, it's interesting. To be healthy on a vegan diet, you have to you have to take a lot of supplements, man. There's a lot of extra shit you have to do. And I've met very, very few people who are vegan who don't eat fucking processed crap. So, I mean, it can't be healthier for you if you're eating vegan hot pockets, man. It
Yeah,
can't. You're just ridiculous if you think that's the case. Now, if you're eating raw vegetables and steamed vegetables that you're making, just like any of the other diet tribes, right? If you're actually making the food and they're single ingredient foods, okay, well, you got a shot at it being really good for you. Except then on the vegan diet, you have to supplement. You cannot eat enough amino acids to be healthy for you. You have to supplement vitamins. And if you want any type of muscle or to be active, there's no way you can eat enough. You can't eat enough beans to support muscle mass, man.
yeah.
You can't.
Yeah,
But
and I was just talking with a buddy of mine, his wife's which is vegetarian, but he's just like, dude, he's like, she's always sick,
yep,
and but then I'm at like, well, are you substituting with, things that you can be deficient in, like go get your fucking blood work done, because who knows what you're deficient in.
right.
Yeah,
Well, and it's true too. Like when I was buying egg whites or something, and there was that egg substitute right next to it, and I look at it, I'm like, is this eggs? It said egg something on it, and I, it's not an egg, it's a fake egg. And I was looking at the list of ingredients. You got to be fucking kidding me. It's just like Beyond Meat. Is Beyond Meat good for you because meat's bad for you? I don't know. Read the ingredients. It's fucking all chemical goo. I mean, you don't have to be a nutritional expert or even really smart to say, hey, meat or an egg versus, a label with half of the things that, you need a chemistry degree to understand what it is. I mean, it's just, it's not. It really is that simple. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe, I don't know if it's just overpopulation where it's like they're, how the hell are we going to, feed all these people where they got to get us essentially eating dog food?
Crickets.
Right?
Yep. Crickets.
But, you going back to the point of just testing and seeing how you feel, man. It's like, I feel the best when I'm, eating red meat, when I'm eating eggs, when I'm, and I rotate my protein sources, but it's just where I feel the best, dude.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, and I remember, Stan Efferning, that you turned me on to a while back. I was listening to a podcast of his, and it was interesting. He was talking about how, he believes that red meat is the only true superfood that exists for human beings. And his backing to that is it's the only thing that we can eat just that and not just survive, but thrive on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and of course he's a, mind like yours where he can break down all the science shit to it, but it just made sense to me. I was like, oh, that was interesting.
Well, we do have one of the longest kind of going experiments, and the guy is pretty transparent, man, is Sean Baker.
Yeah.
And he's a guy, now is he an elite athlete? Yes. Myself included, man, guys that are 51 and I think he's 54, you have to put in 35 years of work to fucking look like that in your 50s and be able to perform, right? Sorry, you just do. But man, he's been doing it for I think 4 years now, where he's eating nothing but meat, eggs, and fish, and some cheese every now and then, but mostly just meat. And guy looks good, man, and he's performing at a high level. And we've seen his blood work and we've seen his calcium scores, and he's as healthier or better than most 54-year-olds, man.
Yeah.
So,
well, and what's cool with him too is like I can't remember. I think it's Harvard. I can't remember which one of the big collegiate, I don't know, Ivy League schools out there. But it's not just him. I think that he has
they're compiling
12,000 people doing it with him, where it's like the big study of its kind, going through it. So be interesting.
Yeah. Well, he's a former orthopedic surgeon. I don't think he practices in that anymore. Might be wrong because they had some issues with him. And I know he had to fight for his medical license because he was, according to his story, he was telling people, hey, why don't you lose 20 pounds? And I may not need to do this knee surgery on you, and that doesn't go over very well. But that being said, he's actually trying to compile data. And as much as I like to make fun of it, meat is the carnivore diet. It's a very simple diet that you can go on. It's an elimination diet because you're eating a food. If you're just eating red meat specifically, it's a food that most people don't have some weird allergy or weird reaction to, and you can eat it and feel great. And that's the basis of anything that I've ever tried to do an elimination diet with people. We're just eating red meat, and you get a baseline and then systematically add in different foods to see how they make you feel. And that's been around for a long time. I mean, there's a lot of people who have done that previously. And so, I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to eat meat, but from a health standpoint, there's no argument really.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, dude. So let's transition into another topic. I did a video on this, a podcast on this a couple of weeks ago, but related to, real estate business and how to utilize it to help, copywriting and so forth, and use it as a tool in your business. But it seems to be a thing that, is kind of taken over a lot of different industries, and it seems to be leading to just putting out more shit out there where you don't know if it's real, not real. But this comes down to these, AI services like ChatGPT, speaking of specifically, but how this is also influencing, I guess, the fitness industry and some of these, quote unquote influencers. And the reason why I say quote unquote influencers is sometimes we don't even know if they're real or fake.
Yeah, case in point, the Twitter account Carnivore Aurelius or something like that. I mean, years ago when that first came out, I had gotten into it with that person. It was like, all right, post a picture, motherfucker. I think you're full of shit. And went really hard at that, whoever that person was. And I figured out it was a fucking company. It's just a company that got together to make a huge Twitter following and capitalized on the business. For a while, they were trying to sell these human dog treats out of dried beef liver or some shit. And finally it got exposed. Wow, 4 years later. Wow, who knew? Well, not that hard to figure out, man. When there's these accounts, and some of them are real people, some of them aren't, but they're just playing the algorithms to monetize it. And with the advent of AI writing being available to these people and to the public, you're going to see a lot of these people who have write-ups and newsletters and social media posts that don't know shit in the first place. Now we're using this to write content. And so you thought it was hard to get valuable or vetted information before. It's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
That's my view. I mean, that's where I think it's going.
Yeah. Cause I mean, we got to also all understand that, I mean, these AI softwares, I mean, they're just going out there and scouring everything that's on the internet, and they're just regurgitating whatever it's there's no way for to know if it's right, wrong, and this is why, like on the video that I created around it, now this was specifically for like realtors, but I was like, look, you need, like, when you're using a tool like this, you got to know your shit. Like, as an example, I did one that was like, I don't know, like top 10 reasons to move to Phoenix, Arizona. And it gave me a median, it's talking about affordability, and spit out, the median house price. Well, that house price was from like 8 years ago.
Right.
Like it's like triple that now today. Like,
yeah.
But I know my market, I was able to catch that stuff, right? So, I mean, there's, and it even says that, when you go use it on there, that, hey, it's not going to always be accurate, like you got to know your stuff. But that's where it gets, because like, on the business side of it, I'm skilled in there. I mean, it's one of the main reasons I go on Twitter, is because there's so much, business advice from like digital marketers, how to make money online and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And, but a lot of these are how to go out there and make money using Chat GPT. And it's like, how to become a copywriter for people. But it's like, okay, now these people creating all this content and don't know that niche. They don't know that space. And to your point, I mean, it's already such a busy world. It's already to know what's working, not working. Now it's like, you're probably going to have some, 16-year-old in the, Philippines or wherever, that's creating this content for another company. And it's just going to make it that much more difficult to sort through the bullshit.
Oh, I can imagine, man. I mean, hey, write me a piece on ginkgo biloba. That's 300 words. Okay. Yeah. I didn't even know what the fuck that is. I mean, that's what's going to happen if it already isn't. So back to the original point, and we've said this plenty of times, but you have to be very careful of who you're listening to and the advice source that you're taking stuff from. When you go on and read about, why I should be on this diet, or calories don't matter, or what, anything, including my advice, vet it, man. Take it with a grain of salt, experiment for yourself, and see if it's true. Don't take it as gospel. And I think it's going to be even more and more important moving forward. I would certainly encourage everybody to vet their sources, and who they let on their feed, and who they get these information from, and who you read. Just be more cautious, and certainly vet those sources, man.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's like, speaking when we were talking about just a moment ago with gas stoves, I saw a doctor post on Twitter that was something like 42% of childhood asthma comes from cooking on gas stoves. And then she's like, I won't even allow my children in a house that has a gas stove. And I'm like, dude, like, where's the data to back that up? Like, I've never heard anybody talk about this in my entire life or adult life, and I have, a gas stove, gas grill. I've got, we always, but I'm like, and maybe it's true. I don't know, but I'm like, just fucking back it up. But, she got the MD behind her name, and a lot of people are going to read that and just buy into it, and whether it's, but how do we even vet that? It's just going to be more of this shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, you have to take all this stuff with a grain of sense, a grain of common sense, and say, Does that really make sense? Where is this coming from? Okay, if I'm in a enclosed, trailer, airtight fifth wheel, and I have a gas flame on and there's no ventilation, is that dangerous or could it be a concern? Well, maybe. Maybe if you're cooking for 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. If you're cooking for 14 hours, is that, there's so many different variables. I mean, it's crazy. And that's the narrative then. People won't even try to investigate or question that. Be like, yeah, and then re-spew it. That's the narrative then. That's how we got to the place where you walked in a fucking restaurant with your mask on, and then you could take it off once you sit down. I mean, think about that, dude. Think about that. That's where we were. And people, that's what you did. One, okay, that's what I got to do. Yeah. Does that make any sense? Oh, I don't care. That's what we got to do.
Yeah.
Let's stay safe.
Yeah. No, it's one of my favorite quotes from Jim Rohn is, be a student, not a follower. Like I'm definitely, I think that there's a negative element to being cynical, or overly
Right.
cynical, but I think that it can, I always say, be an open-minded skeptic.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, take that. Okay. You can try to decipher for your own self. It seems like bullshit, but then fucking go do your due diligence on it.
Right.
I mean, it's just like with everything that we just went through, it's like I didn't jump into anything. I did my due diligence on things and made my own decisions and reached out to trusted, advisors on supplementation plans and, whatever
Yeah.
else. And, you gotta do your due diligence, dude, because
That's the only way, man. Yeah.
yeah,
That's the only way. That's
yeah,
the problem. Then, the people who don't, they jump from advice to advice and never learn the lesson and always looking for that other piece of advice that, man, if I could just, maybe this time this person gives me the right one, or maybe this diet will do it. Maybe that'll do it. It's not it's you, man. You got to figure it out for yourself. So,
yeah. And do you think that that's going to be harder for most going forward? Just it seems like
100%.
with,
Yeah.
not just because of the AI, but it just seems like, and I guess this comes back to AI, but like with all these social media platforms, dude, like it just seems to create these fucking echo chambers, dude, where then,
Yeah.
you're only seeing, one narrative or it's just, I don't know. It just seems like it's going to become harder and harder for the average person to be more open-minded.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Twitter specifically, it's, yeah, you'll see something hit, in the fitness space, and then everybody parrots it, and it just keeps going around and around, and then that's the discussion. But that's how a trend happens, or that's how something goes viral. The same thing in, gas stoves. Like nobody slowed down and questioned that and goes, wait a minute, man, here's the real data. Let's look at this. It just too few people doing that, and more people, oh yeah, that's how it is, reposted, um, let's spread the lies. It's just it's weird, man. It's weird how that happens, but that's how a lot of people form opinions nowadays. They're scrolling through and the subject changes every 2 seconds, and you can't really critically think about any of them.
Yep. Yeah. And that's, yeah, I just don't think people, most anyway, it seems like have lost the ability to critical think, period.
Yeah.
It's just, we're in this society now where it's just, everybody's got their opinion, but then it's just, who can get the most people following their opinion, attaching their opinion, where they don't really think shit through, dude. It's it's interesting times.
Yeah. That's a longer discussion.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a long
100%,
discussion.
man. All right,
Yeah.
brother. Well, as we any ending thoughts or words as we wrap up here?
Yeah, I mean, there's no shortcut. There's drugs out there that cut your hunger, but you don't really learn anything. So whatever the next fad is, if it's semaglutide or the next one, same deal, man. We're gonna be having the same discussion about it. So, as always, think for yourself.
Yeah, I remember when I, asked you at one point, I was like, hey, dude, you got any tips to help push through the hunger pains? And you're like, nope, just gotta suck it up and push through it. But I've learned too over time now. It's like, I'm and I just started to my hard diet again
Yeah.
on Monday. And I right before Thanksgiving I got COVID, finally caught up with me and I got it, which I didn't I felt shitty for like a day or two, you know, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't a big deal, but anyway, and then the holidays hit, and I mean, I stayed pretty lean, but I wasn't as strict as I normally am. But now, I'm hardcore on it again, where I'm in that kind of constant pain, that constant, like I'm always hungry, dude. Especially
Yeah.
when I go to bed at night. But it's like, I'm just training myself to be like, okay, that's a good thing, dude. My body's fucking
That's
eating
when you know you're
that
burning
body fat,
fat.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
you know.
Yep.
So.
I know, man.
All right, my man.
Anyway.
Well, I truly appreciate your time as always, Jim. And those that are
Yeah, bro.
watching and listening, we truly appreciate you being here. Keep crushing it. We will see you next time. Peace.